What if I told you that everything you've been taught about making money, the whole hustle, the grind, the nonstop work, what if that's actually holding you back? In this explainer, we're going to dig into a pretty radical idea that real wealth isn't chased, it's attracted.
I love this quote because it perfectly captures this whole counterintuitive idea we're exploring. The thought that when it comes to money, it's attraction, not some aggressive chase. That's the real key to getting into the flow.
It's a huge question, isn't it? I mean, so many of us feel like we're on that hamster wheel, right? Working harder than ever, but just never really getting ahead. This is all about understanding why that happens and, way more importantly, what we can do about it.
And that leads us straight into the great money paradox of our time. This promise of hustle culture versus the exhausting reality that, let's be honest, a lot of us are living.
This image is just so powerful. You know the feeling, the harder you squeeze a fistful of sand, the faster it just slips away. It's the perfect way to describe that feeling of constant effort that leads to burnout, not abundance. But what if the problem isn't that you're not working hard enough? What if it's because you're working with the wrong kind of energy?
And that's the real heart of it right there. Effort versus energy. It is time to bust this myth that brute force work is the only way to get ahead, because there is a much, much more powerful force at play.
Okay, so look at this. It lays out the two states perfectly. Over on the left, you've got the state most of us know really well. Anxious, grinding, stressed out. But then on the right, you see this completely different approach. Relaxed, trusting, allowing, and peaceful. The whole idea here is that money isn't drawn to the struggle on the left. It's drawn to the flow on the right.
And here is a perfect real-world example. It wasn't some new sales script or a better product that made all the difference. Nope. The change was completely internal. He just dropped that desperate and needy energy, and people responded instantly. His relaxed presence, that became his greatest asset. So this all builds up to a really powerful principle. Your outer world is just a mirror of your inner world. The idea is that your bank account isn't some reward for all your sweat and tears. It's a direct reflection of your inner state of being. This is what some people call the frequency principle. Think of yourself like a radio tower. The real question is, what signal are you broadcasting? Is it a frequency of scarcity and worry, or one of trust and abundance? Because the universe, and money along with it, can only respond to the signal you're actually sending out.
Now, this is a profound way to reframe things. You could earn a fortune and still be operating from a poverty mindset, constantly worried you're going to lose it all. This means true wealth isn't really about the numbers in your account. It all starts with a psychology of peace and trust.
Okay, so if chasing doesn't work, what does? Well, we can actually look to nature for the answer. It's a perfect model of effortless, powerful abundance.
This is the new paradigm, the law of allowance. It's all about moving from forcing and controlling to allowing and trusting. It's about creating that inner state of fullness before you see any external proof. I mean, just think about a tree. It doesn't hustle for sunlight or stress out about its growth. It simply exists, and just in its being, it grows. Or a flower. It doesn't write out a 5-step plan for how to bloom. It just blooms. It's the natural, effortless outcome of its existence. And a river, it never worries about reaching the ocean. It simply flows, and in the act of flowing, it always, inevitably, arrives. That right there is the energy of allowance in action. Now this is where all the philosophy becomes practice. How do we actually apply this stuff? Let's take a look at the toolkit for shifting your own personal frequency from effort to allowance. Okay, here are the 5 keys. I want you to notice something about them. They are all internal shifts. Stop pushing, release that need to control everything, find joy and gratitude in this present moment, and finally, this is the most paradoxical one. Give freely to signal your own abundance. This story just captures that 5th principle perfectly. By giving away what little he had, this artist completely shifted his energy from "I don't have enough" to "I have more than enough to share." He felt abundant first, and then abundance found him. So, how do you make this a real day-to-day thing? Well, you can start with just 2 minutes of silence in the morning. When that feeling of worry hits, just flip it to something you're grateful for. Throughout the day, just check in with yourself. Are you feeling tight and contracted, or open and expanded? And then finally, just release the day before you go to sleep. These tiny little acts retune your frequency. So where does this all lead? Well, it leads to the final and maybe the most important shift. This isn't just about getting more money.
It's about completely changing your relationship with it, from being its servant to being its friend. This is the core of it all, really. The struggle, the push, the grind. It's like you're in a fight against the natural flow of life. The very first step is to just lay down your weapons.
And what replaces the fight? A dance, a partnership, moving in rhythm with what is instead of trying to force what you think should be. And in that dance, abundance just becomes inevitable.
Ultimately, this is the final shift in understanding. Wealth was never about the hours you put in. It was always about the state you were in. It's not about doing more, it's about being different. And that really leaves us with the most important question of all. What kind of energy will you choose to be today?